Hello, Hacksters! I'm your host, Alex Glow, and I'm very excited about today's video because this is something that I've had burning a hole in my desk for the last couple of months, honestly. A bunch of cool new tech from Seed Studio, and I can't wait especially to dig out this XIAO-compatible Seed Studio round display with capacitive touch. I've been working on some wearables, and I can't wait to finally have a chance to mess around with this a little bit since I was waiting to do a video for y'all before I dug in. So, stay tuned for that. As always, subscribe to the channel if you like to see tech unboxings, and let's dig in! So we have 3 seed boards that we haven't covered before. These are all XIAO boards, more from the line where they have lots of different processors that you can get these for. They're all very tiny, as the name implies. XIAO means small in Mandarin, and they are very small. In fact, they are largely pin compatible with Adafruit's Qt Py series, and they're about the same size. So if you like those, you might have a look at these if you can't figure out how to get your needs met. They have a couple of different software compatibilities as well. And then we're, of course, going to also look at this round display. So, I'm so excited. Let's just go ahead. We've got, let's see, first up, there is the Seed XIAO ESP32C3. So I'm going to go ahead and tear this open. All of these come in these little candy-like packages that I love so much. And yeah, we have the C3, the S3, and the S3 Sense are going to be the 3 boards we're going to be looking at today. They all come with a little antenna. They're all Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 5.0 compatible. So they have lots of wireless in these tiny little packages, and let's take a look at it close up. This is our standard Seed XIAO format that we love so well. You've got a couple of buttons. You've got a little pin breakout, bunch of pins broken out on there for GPIOs. We've got battery charging capability. All of these boards we're going to see today have battery charging capability. I'm going to double check my audio and make sure that we sound nice. That just hit me. Should sound a little better now. Okay. And then all of these boards that we're going to look at today also have a flat back, so they're ready for surface mounting onto your own design with castellated edges as well, so that you can solder them on easily. I've designed my own PCB for this, but it's not working yet, so we'll be back with that later. You can of course solder headers on with the standard pitch. And yeah, so this is the S3. I'm showing you this one. The C3 is basically the same in form factor. The S3 is basically the same in form factor, but let's have a look. And then we'll get on to the S3 Sense, which has a camera and microphone built in. Very exciting. And of course, that round display. So let's just put these next to each other. We've got, I keep saying the wrong thing. Okay, so C3 on the left, S3 on the right. And they both come with their own little antennas. Here they are next to each other. Beautiful. Just about the same breakout qualities, except that this one you'll see has a spot for a connector on here, which comes in handy on the Sense. There's another board that goes on top of this that includes your camera and mic. So you've got no buttons on this one either, although I think sometimes they have a tiny one up here. Yes, you do have a little, I believe, a reset button and a usable button at the top here. They're just tiny little metal dome buttons instead of those more thumb-friendly ones here. You really got to push in on these with your thumbnail, kind of. But as we'll see with the S3 Sense, that is so that they could fit more stuff on there, including this header for the breakout. Let's take a look at the specs. They have a handy comparison chart on the product page, actually, so we're going to have a look at that. First up, you'll note in the description of this video, we have a few links to previous episodes where we covered the XIAO RP2040 and how it compares to a couple of other boards. We've also got the BLE NRF52840 Sense, which is also called the Sense, but had different types of things broken out on it. So this one had Bluetooth and NFC. It also had a microphone, but no camera. We've also got our Tech Highlights playlist. Be sure to follow that for all kinds of new stuff that we're covering all the time. Be sure to follow our TikTok. Relatively new, but we've got some cool stuff on there. Instagram and Twitter. Okay, so
The ESP32C3 XIAO is $5. As with the other ones, it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 5.0, battery charging. It is power efficient and has a rich interface. They tell you to be very careful with these uh, antenna connectors. Make sure that you put them on straight down. I saw a cool trick recently where you use, I think, a pen top or a pencil eraser to push them on. I've got to try that because it seems like a nicer way to do it, especially with the pencil eraser. Here on the bottom is where you solder the battery on. And yeah, got flexible design, elaborate power design, providing 4 working modes as low as 44 microamps in deep sleep mode, while supporting lithium battery charge management. Thumb size design, these are all the same size, although they might be different thicknesses, as we'll see on the Sense. No components on the back. You support station mode, soft AP and station mode, and promiscuous mode for multiple Wi-Fi applications, and you can do Bluetooth mesh with it. Lots of cool stuff. I have always had this dream of doing a sort of personal area network with a bunch of networked wearable devices, and someday I will make it happen. They also have a couple of breakouts, which we'll look at in a second. So again, this is the warning about the antennas. They have tons of different XIAO products. So go see the XIAO series page for all the stuff, not only the boards, but these compatible breakouts and peripherals. So not to get ahead of ourselves, here's the S3. It is $750 compared with $5, so 50% more expensive. You've got BLE 5.0 dual mode wireless communication. This one is a dual core board. So they have a comparison table down here, very handy. So, oh my gosh, this header is freaking me out. So here we go. The S3 is a dual core 32-bit processor running up to 240 megahertz, whereas the first one we saw, the C3, is a single core RISC-V 32-bit chip processor with a 4-stage pipeline that we talked about a second ago with those different modes. Up to 160 megahertz. They've both got the same wireless capabilities. On the C3, you've got less memory overall. On the S3, the second one, you do also have 9 ADCs, analog to digital converters. You've got a user programmable LED and a charge LED. On both of them, you have a reset button and a boot button. They're the same size. They've got the same voltage in, although they're going to run at different amounts of power. Again, we're on the page for the S3, so that's listed first here. I'm sorry if that's a little confusing. But you'll see that this one uses a bit less power in general when it's in deep sleep mode. And then over here, just slightly more. You can compare this yourself. We don't need to go through all of it, but yeah, check that out. Hardware overview. As usual, they have beautiful pinouts for us. All these color-coded things. You can see which ones are digital, which ones are analog, which ones are SPI and UART, etc. Plus touch pins. Very exciting. And it comes with that antenna right in the little container, as we saw. Okay, they don't come with the pin headers, so you'll have to supply those yourself, but they are cheap. So, quickly, once again, here's the XIAO series page where you can look at a bunch of different ones side by side. There is a SAMD21 one, just like the Adafruit QT Py series has a SAMD21. Lots of overlap between those two, and I think they are generally pin compatible, but maybe fact check me on that if you're looking at a specific one. And you can compare all of them. This is the real meat of this page, in my opinion. This beautiful table where you can compare all of the different Seed XIAO modules and have a look at what best fits your application. Okay, so onto the S3 Sense. A little water before we tear into this one. Oh, I'm so excited about this one. Very much optimized for AI embedded applications. Let's take these off of here. And I'm going to make sure I don't mix them up because they all look the same. Okay. And here we go with the ESP32S3 Sense. This is the one with the built-in camera and microphone. It comes in 3 pieces. You've got the board itself, you've got the antenna, and here we have an extra anti-ESD package with the breakout board. It uses what is called a B2B connector, which I believe probably stands for board to board. As you can see, it's a high density little pin header, and we can just click these together. There's no mounting holes for standoffs or anything. Let's take a quick look before we snap these together, actually. So there are actually a couple of extra GPIOs on this breakout, but if you want to use those, then you should not be using the microphone. It's sort of an either-or situation. So let's take a look. When we snap these together, as you can see, the XIAO itself, the main board, is about the same thickness, or the same dimensions in the X and Y as the other two, but it does go a little higher in the Z direction. We've got a thicker board because of that breakout. We have some specific questions from Rajiv. Does it support I2S? And does it support software debugging using OpenOCD/GDB? I don't know the answer to those questions, but if you look in the description below, you can find the product pages, which hopefully will have the answer to your question. I didn't see those when I was researching this before I opened these up, so you may have to go do a little research on your own. I'm sorry, but if you find the answer, please do put the answer in the comments. I would love to see that. Okay, so here we go. We've got the camera on here. You've got a little lens protector, and under here is a TF card slot for trans flash, and we're going to take a quick look at what that means. It's very similar to a micro SD card, but it has slight differences. And I pulled up an article so we can take a look at it. But here you have the little module all assembled, and you've got your microphone down here, MEMS microphone, and your camera. Let me know if you'd like to see close-ups of any other parts of that. So digging in here, again, you don't have header pins, but honestly, you will probably have those on hand. If not, they are very cheap to obtain from most hardware outlets. So powerful MCU board, it's basically the same as that ESP32S3 as we saw. The original one has also that same spot on the PCB for you to put the header. This one supports Arduino and MicroPython. It's worth noting that the ESP32C3 is Arduino and CircuitPython, which are very similar, but not quite the same. So check that for sure if you're planning on doing some Python. MicroPython is the original sort of micro version of Python to run on microcontrollers instead of computers, and CircuitPython is a fork of that created by Adafruit that has a couple of extra nice things, including the fact that it shows up as a flash drive and it auto reboots when you save the code and things like that, but you can do your own research there. All right, so some specs on the camera. It's a detachable sensor for 1600 by 1200 resolution with an additional digital microphone. You've got more onboard memory, and you have an SD card slot. Oh, I lied. On here, it's an SD card slot. On the round display, it's a TF card slot. So here, it's a micro SD card slot. You do still have those wireless capabilities, and you do still have the same X and Y direction dimensions. Here we also have a comparison of exactly what is updated in the Sense versus the standard issue S3. Basically, you're just adding these camera sensors. You have more memory. You have, you have that breakout for the SD card, which allows you to add more memory. But on the board, it's about the same. Then you have, obviously, it's going to suck down more power. Those are most of the differences on here. All the other capabilities are pretty much the same. This one runs about $14, so it's just over twice the price of the original S3, $750, $14. Okay, there exist, as I mentioned, a bunch of different breakouts for these boards. There's a Seed Studio expansion board base for all XIAO boards, which includes an OLED, which could be useful for specifically this board if you're trying to do some camera stuff. Maybe you can put some output information on that OLED display. And you can also, with that, get access to these, well, either way, you can get access to these free courses from Seed, which are using this starter kit, which includes that GPIO breakout with the Grove breakouts as well. This allows you to use any of these XIAO modules with Seed's Grove system, which is a plug-and-play I2C sensors and actuators system. So you can interface it with over 400 Grove series modules that they have, which is, I think, a really great set of add-ons for any of these boards. So yeah, this is a great way to hook up your XIAO boards, which are very minimal and tiny, but maybe powerful, with more things, including an OLED screen and that entire Grove series of peripherals. And then you also have those free courses. So I think it's a good thing to take advantage of. Time for the main event. Okay, for me personally, this is the main event. The round display is what I've been like oohing and ahhing over ever since I got it in the mail, and I am so excited. I will say right up front that I'm not going to get it working in this particular video. That's going to be a follow-up, and I will be exploring a number of different projects with this board. So we've got the little box here, 1.28-inch touchscreen, 240 by 240 pixels, real-time clock, micro SD card slot, and power management chip built in. Let's get this open. It comes in a box with this foam around it so that it's nice and protected. To get this little rubber band off. Et voila. Besides a view of my skylight here, we have a beautiful screen that I haven't taken the plastic off yet. We have this flexible cable connecting the display to the main PCB. We've got mounting standoffs here. We've got that TF card slot. It's interesting. In the specs on the product page, they say it's a TF card slot for trans flash. And then on the box itself that it comes in, they say it's a micro SD card. So they are pretty much the same. There's a couple of differences. I might want to check on that if I were going to do anything specific with that card. But here's our battery for the RTC. We've got a connector for a LiPo battery. We've got a bunch of GPIO breakouts and header pins here that you can stick your headers into the into the XIAO and pick any XIAO that you want and have it connect to this one, which is very exciting. As I mentioned, it's a touch screen, not just a visual screen. So you've got capacitive touch on there and all kinds of possibilities for watches or other types of wearables or little housewares that show you the time of day and maybe what's going on for you. So exciting. Okay, let's dig into the specs. This one is $18, which for me is like a steal because I've been tracking stuff like this for a while, thinking about various wearable projects that I want to do. And, I saw one on AliExpress a while ago for like $23. This one is $18, and it comes from a manufacturer that I really trust. So I'm very excited to, and it's compatible right off the bat with all of these XIAO boards. So it's very exciting for me personally. 39 millimeters around across, if you want metric instead of the inches that were on the box. Onboard RTC holder, charge chip, and TF card slot. There we go. Perfect for interactive displays in smart homes, wearables, and more. Here they give you that inches again. 65K colors, clear and colorful images exhibition. All XIAO series products. So any XIAO that you have on hand will go in here. And if you don't have one, you can get one for $5. We have capacitive touch. We have a fully covered touchscreen on one side, designed as a radiant disc with a radius of 39 millimeters. So that is for the display itself. As before, you have a battery charging chip and the JST 1.25 battery interface. So if you have a battery with a plug on it that matches, you can stick it in there. It is a smaller than usual JST plug. I have two sizes of JST plugs that I usually see on my batteries. If you do a lot with microcontrollers, you're probably familiar with sort of two sizes, and this is the smaller size of those two. So you may need to replace the connector or get a battery with a specific connector of that size. It's not the same as, for example, the microbit. Programmable, obviously. Good for gaming devices, which would be very interesting. And they have a 3D model for a 3D printable shell for it that you can download here, which is wonderful. All of these aspects make it very friendly, in my opinion, for someone who's just starting out with this kind of stuff. You can choose from any of the shell boards. You can 3D print their ready-to-go shell casing for it. It's got a power switch, which I love. I am literally designing a PCB ruler right now, which has on it put a power switch on your wearables, because that is my pet peeve. And I love it when people have power switches on there. So, if they want to put the ESP32 S3 Sense on this extension screen, will there be a conflict with the 2 card slots? Good question. I was planning on doing exactly that. Actually, no, because the battery. Oh my goodness, Monday brain. The camera, for me, will not do anything useful if it's mounted on the back of a wearable, which is what I want to do with it. However, you could make a very small device with a touch screen on one side and a camera and mic on the other, which would be very cute and useful. And in that case, you might want to use a card for memory expansion on that device. So, the TF card on the screen will not be used if you attach the Sense to this. The TF card on the device, the main XIAO board, will be used. All right, then they've got some more documentation and stuff. As with the vast majority of their products, they do have a getting started guide already. They've got a full wiki on here with example code, different ways to program it, full pinouts, different compatible hardware, how to connect everything together physically, make sure that the Type-C connector of the XIAO is facing outside. Honestly, I think it would be kind of inconvenient if you mounted it the other way anyway, but yeah. You can program it with Arduino using this example. And then there are different tutorials for each of their most popular boards, including the C3 and S3 ESP32 boards that we've shown today, plus 2 of the ones that we showed earlier, and the SAMD21. So I'll leave it as an exercise for the reader to read up on that. We will be coming back later on. I'm definitely planning to do a project with this board. It excites me. Just all the different possibilities, but especially for wearables, where I've been planning a bunch of different projects over the years that are finally coming to fruition. It seems like all the parts are aligning now, and especially getting this in the mail. Thank you so much to the Seed team, by the way, for sending this to us. As with many of the things that we unbox and review on this channel, we don't do like reviews because we work with a lot of these as our partners, and we love getting to check out the new technology. So very much thank you to the Seed team for this. Let's see. Tariq says, I wonder if that can be worn as a watch. That's the idea. For me, anyway, there's all kinds of other stuff that you could do with it as well. I've used a round display in the past to make a single eye for a robot that turned out really cute. It was sort of like animated, and that worked really well. For the companion bots that I build, then I think it could be cool to have another sort of Cyclops robot. You could do 2 of them and link them together. You've got wireless, but you could also do something with the GPIOs. All kinds of other stuff, housewares, smart home devices. You could even have just some kind of cute little device where, as mentioned before, you could put the ESP32 S3 Sense XIAO on the back here, and have the camera and mic on this side, have a touch screen display on the other side. That's a little awkward. But you can see how that would come together to make a really interesting little thing that you could port around and show to people and take selfies at an event or something like that. Yeah, just so many possibilities with this little screen. I can't wait to finally bust it out and attach a controller to it, because I've been waiting for so long. All right. Thank you all for joining. Be sure to check out the wikis with the how to actually use these pieces of technology if you want to see what would work for you best in a project. be sure to check out that comparison page that I showed earlier as well, where you can check out the differences between all the different XIAO boards. Also look into the difference between CircuitPython and MicroPython, and it's worth checking out the difference between Qtpy, Adafruit boards, and these Seed XIAO boards, because they are both quite similar for lots of applications, and maybe see what works best for you. But yeah, I'm just so excited about this. I keep saying that, but it's true. Thanks again for joining us. Be sure to subscribe if you like this kind of thing. Stay tuned. I've put a link to my own projects at the bottom of the description as well, the video description, because I'm planning on building something with this, so you can follow along there if you like, or check out some of my companion bots. That's about all I got for you. Have an awesome rest of your Monday, and as always, hack on.